Tonight on America's Hope, we celebrate the founding of America as we also celebrate our one-year anniversary. America's Hope starts now. From the NTD Global Headquarters in New York, I'm Kelly Wright, and this is America's Hope. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. As I stated, welcome to America's Hope as we celebrate our one-year anniversary. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching us and encouraging us to keep pushing the message of hope across a spectrum of life. You see, a year ago, we launched this show with the purpose of not shying away from the hard topics of discussion, but amid those tough topics like war, political and racial divisions, and faith divisions, and a lot more, we look for hope in the midst of despair, faith over fear, and love over hate. So here's our first episode that we aired a year ago to launch America's Hope, to celebrate the founding of America. All right, so we're here at St. Paul's Church, which is a historical church, and we're going to talk to Catherine Hurwitz about the remarkable things that have unfolded here for St. Paul's Church. There's so much history here, and as we celebrate July 4th, the founding of our nation, the Declaration of Independence dating back to 1776, this church was actually founded before that, right?
It was. The cornerstone of St. Paul's Chapel was laid in 1764, and the first service was held on October 30th, 1766.
So my understanding, as you look at the history of this incredible church, there are a lot of remarkable men and women who served as the founding fathers of this nation in New York City.
Oh, yes. A lot of the work done in the founding of the nation was done in New York City. And a lot of those people, the founding fathers, the founding mothers, were members of what was known at that time, the Church of England, the Anglican Church, which now today in the United States is the Episcopal Church. And Trinity Church and St. Paul's Chapel are Episcopal churches. These men and women belong to Trinity Parish and Trinity Church's various chapels. St. Paul's Chapel was one of those chapels. And those people who lived in New York City, who worked in New York City, who worked for the cause of independence, were members of St. Paul's at that time during the Revolutionary period, because in 1776, the Great Fire of New York broke out and Trinity Church burned down. St. Paul's Chapel, on the other hand, was saved by a bucket brigade from the Hudson River, which at that time was only a block to the west. Manhattan Island has been built up a lot over the last 300 years, and so the river was much closer. So a bucket brigade of members of St. Paul's went from the chapel to the river, saved the roof, and saved the chapel. But because Trinity Church burned down, all the worshipers at Trinity came to St. Paul's to worship. So during the period of the Revolution, founding fathers such as John Jay and Alexander Hamilton and Hercules Mulligan attended services at St. Paul's Chapel since Trinity Church was no more.
Talk to me about Alexander Hamilton, the significant role that he played, along with George Washington, who actually attended services at Trinity as these two men created the militia and began to defend the cause for our Declaration of Independence.
Alexander Hamilton did subscribe to the church. He was a member of the church. We know that his wife, Elizabeth Schuyler Hamilton, and their children attended services. So we don't know exactly if Alexander attended services or not, or if he was just a good churchman who paid to rent his pew. But he was deeply involved in the community around Trinity Church and St. Paul's Chapel because so many members of these churches were involved in the cause for independence, including George Washington, as you said. When the American Army was set up in New York, George Washington would have attended services at Trinity Church or at St. Paul's Chapel, depending on what he wanted to do that day. And at the inauguration of George Washington, actually, into his first term at Federal Hall, just down the way, after the inauguration at Federal Hall, the entire group came to St. Paul's Chapel for a service of thanksgiving. We don't know exactly what this service entailed. There was not a program written down that we have in the archives. But Washington, John Adams, the rest of Congress, and the rector of Trinity Church, who at that time was the chaplain of the Senate, came to St. Paul's and had a service of thanksgiving, in thanksgiving for the creation of the new nation and the inauguration.
When people think of New York today, they don't think about that moment in time.
No, you're right. Most people think, when they think of colonial America, they think of Philadelphia or Washington, D.C., or the campaigns in the Northeast, in New Hampshire or Vermont. They don't often think of New York, but New York was the first capital of the United States of America, because during those first early years of the nation, the capital moved twice. The capital was first in New York City, so all of the change makers of that time were in New York City. All of the political leaders of the time were in New York City. And then in 1791, the capital moved to Philadelphia, and thus Washington, Hamilton, everyone else moved to Philadelphia as well. And then once Washington, D.C. was finished, then the capital moved to Washington, D.C.
What should young people in our country know about the importance of fighting for our freedom?
I think something that many people forget about is the great risk that the founding fathers and other patriots at that time were taking in declaring their positions. At the time, of course, this was a British colony. New York was a British colony, and to speak out against the monarchy, against the government, was a great offense. You could be tarred and feathered for that. You could be hung for that. It was a great risk that all of these people were taking to declare their positions and declare them in the public space. And I think a lot of people don't think about that in the context of the time, that if the wrong person on the street heard you saying something disparaging of the king, or that you believed the taxes were too high, then there could be grave consequences for you.
Can we continue to look back on them and draw inspiration from them and their commitment to building a great nation?
I think we can. A thing I am reminded often of when I think of the Founding Fathers is the phrase, "the pen is mightier than the sword." And the Founding Fathers and other change makers during that time employed the pen to great, great heights. I mean, the Declaration of Independence, that's a written document that was compiled by many people. The sentiments of many people went into that document. The Articles of Confederation is a document. The Constitution is a document. All of the petitions written to Parliament before the war, protesting against the taxations that the colonists thought were so onerous, were all written by groups of people making consensus to share their opinions and share their beliefs. And the colonists at that time and the leaders in the colonies really focused pre-war on trying to make change through the pen, trying to make change through their words.
Alexander Hamilton expressed many concerns about moving the nation forward. And of course, with the production of Hamilton and looking into his life on stage, but looking at his real life, what concerns did he have coming from a Caribbean nation to the United States of America? What concerns did he have about African Americans being enslaved and fighting for their freedom, and yet understanding that we're free blacks at the time who helped fight in the Revolutionary War? Hi, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far of America's Hope. If you'd like to see it in its entirety, just click on the link below. Thanks for watching.